All right, here's a story. There was at one time in Judaism, and this movement unfortunately, it succeeded horrendously, and it was called what was called the Enlightenment movement. Enlightenment movement was exactly what we just learned in the Yom Yom, to exchange intellect for faith. Exchange intellect for faith. That you have to use your mind, and you have to. And they saw that Newton used his mind, and these people used their mind, and so therefore we can explain everything by our mind, and you don't need God. Even though the fact is Newton was a religious person, yeah, the fact is he was. But okay, so that was the main thing. So they sent special. I even heard. Okay, so there we go. So they sent the special. The Enlightenment people became very organized. A lot of them were Jews, and there was a special war against Judaism. That was the special war. The special war was against Judaism, against faith in general, but against Judaism especially. And the main warriors against Judaism were Jews themselves, that they became enlightened. Suddenly they realized the foolishness of believing in God and doing the commandments, and that we're the chosen people, and the eternalness of this. And from that eventually morphed out Zionism, came that. Anyway, so I'll tell two stories. One story is that one of the guy's name was Lilienthal. This was in the time of the Tzemach Tzedek. So he sent, now a lot of these people that were the enlightened ones, the ones that were trying to get Jews away from Judaism, they themselves had been religious Jews, or at least came from religious families, and a lot of them were very intellectual. I mean, a lot of them, were very Torah-aware people. They knew Talmud, they knew Torah, and they knew the Talmud. They knew the Torah. So I'll tell you two stories. One story is like this. In the time of the Tzemach Tzedek, so the head of this group, of one group, like I said, I think his name was Lilienthal. So he sent an emissary to Lubavitch to see if he could make inroads. And generally speaking, they didn't succeed very much in Chabad. They didn't succeed. Some of them did, true. I mean, the ones that threw the previous Rebbe into prison and wanted to kill him, a couple of them were Chabadniks. They left Judaism, of course, but all right, so one of them is like this, that he wrote a letter back to his, this maskil, they were called maskilin, and this non-religious Jew. So he posed as a religious Jew. And he would go and talk to people about, bring Torah ideas and show that he was knowledgeable of Torah. And then little by little, he would, say, well, there's a question over here in the Torah, and they have no answer for it, and there's another question, and generally he would weaken Judaism. So he wrote a letter back to the one who sent him. He said, here in Lubavitch, I'm not having any success whatsoever. And I don't think I am going to have any success. He said, even the simple ladies in the marketplace, before they'll mention the name of the Rebbe, the women that are selling in the marketplace, before they'll even mention the name of the Rebbe, they wash their hands. They won't mention the name. People that have this insane level of faith and connection to something which they don't understand is, I can't make any inroads to these people. There's no one to talk to. No. And I'll tell you another story. There was a story I wanted to tell, but I'll jump to another story, which is the same thing. Zionism. So one of the big Zionists, he was sort of like a spiritual person, a total atheist, was a person called Asher Ginsburg. Asher Ginsburg, it was called Echad Ha'am. There's streets called Echad Ha'am. And he started big movements in Zionism that he didn't want to leave like Jewish identity. He wanted Torah of mitzvahs 100% not. But to leave Jewish identity, he didn't want to. So there would be the study of, let's say, Tanakh in the synagogues, and in the schools, not the synagogue. There would be the study of Tanakh in the synagogues. and maybe he would even. I'm not really that familiar with his exact details, but there were all sorts of different details and facets and philosophies within Zionism itself, and his was like more spiritual. So he came from the family. He came from a Chabad family somehow or other. Came from it. And he came from it. So he was very well versed in Talmud and very well versed in Talmud. And he said his big thing is that the reason the Jews believe in God and in the Torah is because they don't understand what this world is about. They don't understand the pleasures of this world. They don't understand the wisdom that's in the world, the great philosophies and the great art and music and of the world. They don't get it. And if they would know the world, then they would leave Judaism. But they separate themselves from the world to protect their antiquated ideas. And that's what he said. So people wanted to arrange a meeting between him and the fifth Rebbe of Chabad. And like I say, they were somehow or other related one to the other. And he always would refuse. This Asher Ginsburg, he would refuse. And he would say, if he wants to meet with me, then he has to come to me, because I have an equal number of followers, and I also know Torah like he knows Torah. I don't know if that, I doubt if that's the truth, but it could be. He was a big genius in Torah. We had Yerovam. The history of Judaism is not lacking Torah geniuses that became total apostates. Yerovam ben Nevat is the classic example. That Yerovam ben Nevat, he knew more Torah than anybody in his whole generation, he said, and he was in the beginning of the first temple. Okay, so this Asher Ginsburg. So finally, somehow or other, they arranged a meeting. They arranged a meeting between them, and after the meeting, they asked the Rebbe, what you think about Asher Ginsburg? And they asked Asher Ginsburg, what you think about the Rebbe? So they asked the Rebbe, what do you think about Asher Ginsburg? He says, he is a person that I can truly say that he knows God and he intends to rebel against him. Makir et Rabbono umakaven limrod bo. He knows what God is, and he intends to rebel against him. In other words, he knows the books of Chassidut, all the things that we're learning. He knows all that, and he intentionally intends to rebel against God. They asked Asher Ginsburg, how were you impressed by the Rebbe? He said, he is a person that I can say that he knows what this world is, and he intends to rebel against it. Makir olam hazeh umakaven limrod bo. In other words, Asher Ginsburg knows what Judaism is, and he wants to defy it. And the Rebbe knows what this world is. Not like all the other Jews that they don't know, that according to his claims, they don't know what the world is. He knows what the world is, and he intends to defy it. And that's basically what Chabad Hasidut is. That you don't have to know every detail of the world, but you have to not be afraid of the world. And our job is to transform the world to what it really is, and that is a garden for God. Have a good day with Mashiach now. Oh, there's somebody waiting.
Thank you. Good Yantif.
1 second. Abba, I didn't see you were waiting. I'm sorry. I just saw you the last moment. You were here the whole time. Okay.
He was here. He only left for 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay. So you can look and see what the end of the story was. Have a good day. See you tomorrow, 8:15.
Be'ez Hashem. Good Yantif.